Okay, let's talk about this Steph GOAT conversation. So I pulled up the list that The Athletic did last year for the NBA 75. And I think after the top 3, maybe the top 4, I think there's an argument for Steph to be in the mix. So I want to go through who they had. They had obviously Jordan at number 1. I don't think Steph is even arguably ahead of MJ. They have LeBron at number 2. Steph is probably below LeBron at this point, unless he gets another ring and LeBron doesn't. Then I think it's arguable that he could move ahead of LeBron. Kareem is just, I think his counting stats are just way out there, and he played in an era, where being on the Lakers and such, and even before that, he was just such an icon even before he stepped on the NBA court. Like I don't see, I almost feel like people think he's underrated now, even though Athletic has him in the top 3. So after that top 3, I kind of thought Steph kind of fits in this next range. So I wanted to get your thoughts on, would you put Steph in front of
Don't say Kobe.
Mr. Russell?
Oh, Bill? Yeah, I think I would. I think if we're already downgrading his 10 titles with him not being in the top 3, he can go another spot down. I think the era thing is just really tough, man. Like you just can't compare eras, and 10 championships today would surely put you number 1, but feels like, there was maybe that Celtics team was just stacked, right? That he was on. So I think, I mean, there's a conversation that needs to be had with like Kareem and Magic too, right? Where like they were able to snag, like, what was it, 5 titles together? Was it 4 or something, or 3? Like, imagine if Steph got to play with a top 5 player in the league. Oh wait, he did. Oh wait, how many titles did they win in 3 years? Oh wait, they won 2. Like if Steph had a Kareem and he did for 3 years, he might have 6 right now. He might have 7. So I don't know. I feel like I kind of like, the whole Magic and Kareem thing, I think that kind of gets left out of discussion a little bit, because it surely doesn't get left out of discussion these days, right? With how the stacking teams, 2017 through 19 will never be forgotten. LeBron's Miami Heatles will never be forgotten, but it doesn't seem to be like that, in past
believe
eras.
me, when Laker fans start to talk, I go remind them of in Magic's second year where he was already asking for a trade. I remind them of that. I also remind them of the 84 finals when he made a couple of mistakes and he was nicknamed Tragic Johnson.
That's good.
I remind Laker fans that they seem to have short memories about that stuff. Okay, speaking of Magic, he is at number 5. I think the thing that hurts Magic is the longevity of his career, obviously, which is
how much. Okay, so how long was he in his prime, would you say? Because Steph's been like, okay, would you say, when was Steph's first All-Star appearance? Was it 2014 or 2013? Because if it's 2013, then we're a decade in.
I think it's
13. We're a decade in of like prime Steph.
So Magic basically, as a rookie, was in his prime. That's how good he was. So from his rookie season all the way through he retired, he was in his prime. So from
well, how long was the gap? I always forget.
12 years, 12 seasons.
But when was the gap when he wasn't playing?
Well, he did. Yeah, he. I think it was, what was it, 80 to 91, and then he played in the Olympics in 92, played in the All-Star game in 92, tried to come back in 94, 95, maybe 95, and played a litle bit through the playoffs, I believe. And then
so his career was essentially already over by the time he wasn't able to play.
No, I think if he did not get HIV, he would have been able to play through the later 90s. No, he would have been able to play through 95, 96, 97. And then at that point, he's going to be a little older, but he changed his game to be a little bit more of like a point power forward because he was
Yeah.
just much bigger. But yeah, I mean, what you have is, if you want to say, if Magic doesn't attract HIV, he plays 15 years, then yeah, like Magic
Yeah.
might be,
You might
he
not
might be
touch him. He
the
might be
number
number
two.
two, easy.
Yeah, he
Number
might be the
one,
number
maybe.
2 player. So, but I think because of where Steph is today, and you could say, well, Magic changed the game because he was a big point guard. And you can also say Steph changed the game because of the shooting. So I think that is very comparable. He is arguable on that list with Magic. The one that's really hard is Wilt, who is number 6 on this list, just because it's such a different universe in which he played, and him as a center, and him losing to Bill Russell, but constantly being in the mix there and just falling short. Wilt is a hard one. I wouldn't even know what to say because I don't even know how to rank him against his.
I feel like I'll just get mad watching that type of basketball back then.
Well, it's just different.
I'll just get like upset. Like,
I mean, it's very similar to. So the good thing about that style of basketball is the pace is very predictable and very slow. So every single possession like really does matter.
just
It's
playoff
just,
basketball
yeah,
the whole
it's
time.
just intensity, the intensity. But at the same time, whenever the game got too slow, the NBA would change the rules to make it faster. So, they definitely know what they wanted. Okay, here's where I think we can say yes. And I say this as someone who has watched almost all of Larry Bird's greatness. And I would say I am a fan of Larry. But I do think when it comes to the end of Steph's career, he is going to be higher than Larry Bird on this list. And if you think about it, the things that a lot of the fans today don't like about Steph, they also did not like about Larry 30 years ago. Shooting, he's not in the air, he's making plays that are sort of really smart, but maybe get a little bit too much credit for stuff like that because he's smaller, or because in Larry's situation he was Caucasian. But I think I'm comfortable with saying Steph, career by career, is ahead of Larry Bird.
I think Steph's ceiling is third of all time. I mean,
Behind,
hell, if the guy wins 4 straight rings, then yeah, like he's number 1. But I think realistically, I think number 3 behind LeBron is probably his ceiling on where most people will settle the debate on.
and then the last 3 guys, Shaq, and Shaq himself said that he would put Steph above him.
Shaq is the most like selfless old retired guy
Yeah.
of all time. I think he has Angel Reese above him as like a LSU player, and Angel's like doesn't. I think she just came back actually, but
Yeah, no, I mean, he's doing it for the sake of the argument. Deep down, he probably feels like he is.
Well, what do you feel about you watched? You watched all of Kobe, like
Yeah,
you watched all of Kobe. So like, what? Why is there like a? Why is he not certified? Top 3 with what 5 rings? I guess 3 with Shaq. So I guess he wasn't even like the best player on 2 or 3 of them, but he got those 2 after.
he gets the blame for blowing that thing up. You talked about the Magic and Kareem thing. They had it, and
he's the one who ruined it because he traded him because he was mad that Shaq was not taking his offseason seriously, or mad that Shaq got him in trouble with the allegations. And
no, he got Shaq in trouble with the allegations.
Oh.
So now Kobe is a young guy, and this is, especially with today's society where we really pay attention to this kind of stuff. The fact that Kobe had a trial for essentially rape, and it was during the playoffs, and like people just seem to forget about that part of his career. Now that has nothing to do with him playing basketball, right? That has everything to do with who he is as a human.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden people just forget about that stuff. And like if you read through a lot of the information, the police report and all that stuff, it's not good for him. But fans have deified him in a way where people overlook that where they would not overlook that for other athletes. Some of it has to do with him being a girl dad and all that in his
And
passing.
because he died. Like,
Well, it was even before then though that he was, this guy who was just like the ultimate competitor and everybody looked up to him and this and that. And I just always like thought it was so, and I don't want to make ill claims of the dead, but again, if you go back and you read through that trial stuff, that there's a reason he settled, and
mhm,
and at the same time, this woman's life was pretty much ruined during this whole thing because
yeah.
of his fame. So that aside, I just don't understand why he's given the benefit of the doubt when other folks will never be given the benefit of the doubt. Like, let's just not give anybody the benefit of the doubt on that stuff. So, as a player, I think there's a selfishness to his game that all of a sudden he reshaped the narrative as to being the ultimate winner. It went from he's selfish and he's driving people out of town and he's hard on his teammates to, oh, it's just because he wants to win more than everybody else. I never bought that. But
Mhm,
again, I'm not a Laker fan. So if you're a Laker fan, you can buy that narrative. But you can also look at the end of his career and post that second straight title when they beat the Magic. What was that, 2011 or 2010? The rest of his career was just numbers, and that was about it. So
yeah.
I probably have him a little bit lower on my list, but it's also because I didn't like him as a player. I still don't really like his persona that the NBA has propped up, because I think a lot of it is just as fake as some of the other stuff that, LeBron creates for himself. Like Kobe was also doing the same thing. But again, I don't like the Lakers, so I never liked him as a player. And so there's a bias in that, in just being a Warriors fan. Like, when the Warriors overtook the Lakers as the California franchise, like I was like, good, because Kobe's selfish and yells at his teammates, and I'm not sure how that makes him this ultimate winner when he's not winning and he's still doing it.
Mhm.
Um, so that's my take, and I would have Steph above Kobe for sure.